when a plant loses all its roots, whether it's root rot or bugs or neglect, I don't know, shipping. Let's talk about that because, oh, and hi, my name is Julia. I am the Northern Plant Girl. I've had a couple of plants die back on me, and I have a feeling that my Campo Postula Unknowns or my Philodendron will do that with me, but it's totally okay. It's not the end of the world, totally salvageable. So I've got a couple of plants that I've had to save. The first one is my Rojo Congo. I love this plant and I don't know what I managed to do, but I did it. I looked at the plant and I saw that the leaf wasn't coming up, it wasn't opening, and I was like, there's something wrong with the roots. At first, it was very, very root bound. So I undid all the root boundness and I put it on a pot. But I think I had like watered it a few days before I took it out of the pot, and then I watered it again, and it didn't like that at all. And so we lost the roots, and I also had a couple of fungus gnats going around here, so they had a feast, most likely. I'll show you the process and what I did to sort of like up my chances of making this thing live. Here I have the ficus, one of the plants that got affected. Now, the best thing to always do is to remove a couple of leaves, and I'm using here my secateurs. It's because that will conserve the energy of the plant, but you should try and leave some leaves on because photosynthesis, right? And I'm actually waiting here for the sap because it's Ficus elastica, elastic. That's where elastic comes from. I actually ended up cutting this again in the middle to sort of like up my chances, but you kind of do want to keep a node. So every node you have a leaf with the elastica, so I try to keep a couple of nodes on each side, and then again sap galore, and my hand was super sticky afterwards, so just put it away and kind of like wait, I guess, for it to dry a little. Then we got the Rojo Congo, which also has quite a lot of leaves left, and I took most of them actually. So to make it easy, you just kind of cut them, and oh my gosh, how much does that hurt to do? Hurt so much. But I left 3 leaves on, so first just cut the leaf and then plop out the rest of the thing, and try to clean it as much as you can, because that's going to become that tissue rots, and you don't want any rot anymore now, do you? And the Rojo Congo actually has a pretty interesting smell when you cut it, and I was kind of enjoying that process. It's painful, but it's also satisfying. And there you can kind of see also some auxiliary buds and roots, not auxiliary roots, sorry, aerial roots over there. And just gotta remove all of that extra stuff. Well, those are pretty leaves, so I kind of decided to put them together. You know, they're still looking good for me right now, all of them, so, you know, do what you can. And the next step is to actually seal the cuts, and you just melt a regular candle and of course you blow it because you don't want the fire to be active. And just dip it. Then you let it dry. And then you can dip it again if the coating isn't even, because one of the things that is important to remember is that that cut needs to be sealed to avoid bacteria. So if you have an uneven coating or any sort of like crack on it, water is going to be trapped in, so it's kind of a double-edged sword almost if you get it wrong, and then you're going to have rot if the water comes in. And the next step would be to, actually propagate it. And here I still have a little bit too many leaves, so I decided to take more, and I just manhandle that, I guess. Now sometimes you can just take it out properly, and I have like this kit of gardening tools that has that little knife, which is very helpful, but I also didn't want to accidentally just hurt whatever I had left that I was gonna leave in. So, well, that's the rest of it. And that one didn't need sealing, so I plumped it into water because I didn't have spag moss left. So I did receive now some spag moss, which I'm gonna show you soon, but if you prop with water, prop it with water. It's a choice. It's not exactly my weapon of choice, but so that is sealed, but that's kind of staying out of water, so it's also not gonna matter too much. But that one, kind of needed to be well sealed because it's what went in. So yeah, that's it. Let's get back to the video. I've got some roots coming off on top of here, and I've got it on spag and perlite and leca. I do not like rooting in water because the roots that I created with water propagation is not wrong, okay? I just don't particularly like it. It's just a personal thing. I root all my things in spag moss. I'm struggling to put this back. On the video that you just saw, I didn't have spag. I actually had ordered and I was waiting for the mail. It was quite fast, to be honest. So I put them all in this setting, okay? My ficus, same thing. I actually chopped it in two so that I get two pieces, and now you just wait it out. Kind of like the same process that you would do for a cutting that you get. You can either root it in water, you can either root in spag. I prefer, and my elbow as well. That one hurt. That one hurt a lot. The elbow hurt a lot, but I just put it sometimes in a cup. I do try not to use jars because they, in my experience, stay way too wet. And cups, at least, like, you get a little bit of, like, you don't need to fill it up so much depending on the size of the cutting and on the size of the cup itself. So I'm also rooting this imperial green, philodendron imperial green, for the same reason. It lost its roots, and it can take a while for anything to happen, but as long as the leaves are like plump and turgid, you're good. Actually, this needs water. And like the frequency of watering the spag really depends on your environment, and people always ask me, how often do you check your plants? I'm like, I just stick my finger. Yes, I finger my plants. To check for like humidity, you can use a humidity meter, like those little water sticks that you put it in the plants. You like that sound? I do not water like directly on the spag that's near the plant. I water on the borders. Like, I kind of try to spritz just the borders, not directly on the plant, because then the plant can sort of like reach for the humidity that I'm providing, so, or the moisture rather. Okay, so I know some people will be like, oh, you just stick it in water and it will be fine. But in my experience and by other things that I've heard, and by like I've heard, you know, I would call them professionals or people more knowledgeable than I am, saying that, you know, water roots and soil roots are different, and they are, because I've done research and I've been kind of study a little bit more. It will actually cost the plant energy to convert those water roots into soil roots, so why not just root them in spag or leca and have them have like those more fibrous soil roots right off the bat, right? It sounds like a good deal. It might take a little bit longer, and with spag you can actually put it on a heat mat or something, so that, you know, it's gonna depend how fast it is drying as well, because it might be that it dries too fast. But with water, you should not put whatsoever on a heat mat. You should not even use cold or warm or hot water. You should use cold water so that it doesn't like encourage rot. My phone, because I'm recording with my phone, just stop the video and turn the camera around. Spooky. But anyway, this is it. That's the gist of sort of like recovering your plants, and they do recover. You just have to be patient. I remember once I took a plant from the wild in Brazil, and it was a tiny syngonium. I cannot remember the species right now, but it was a syngonium, and it looked limp for like a good month. I didn't even see it growing because I came back to Finland. And now it's flourishing, like it has tons of leaves, and it's just grown like crazy. And so it's a little bit like this, guys, you know, that one was outside, so it was getting rainwater, and it was happy, I'm guessing, there, because it grew so fast. And another thing, like if you're gonna use water to root, change it often, because stagnant water just make it more prone for rot. And maybe like a week or bi-weekly. I was changing when I got these guys in that situation. I was actually changing every day. Yeah, that's it. Well, if you have questions down below, I know this was kind of like a quicker video, but if you have questions down below, if you are recovering, rehabbing plants, let me know and tell me which ones you are rehabbing, because maybe we can exchange some ideas. So like these leaves started opening very slowly after I put it in this, so I'm taking that as a good sign. Okay, I'll see you. Like and sub. Bye.